We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Today is my day, a brand new beginning. The future will blossom.
Hi everyone, welcome to Talk Up Your Biz, Speak Your Way to More Profits. I'm Jean-Noel Bassior, here with my co-host.
I'm Susan Levin, and the business is Speaker Services, and we're talking to you live from latalklive.com, reality radio TV.
Well, we are more than just talk. And if you are an expert in what you do, and you would like to go out there and speak about your expertise, why not? That's why we're doing this show. We would love you to meet some of the people that have written books. They're coaches, therapists, they're entrepreneurs. And the difference between them and some of us sitting at home is that they are out there speaking about their expertise, even if they've never spoken before. Right, Susan?
Absolutely. And today our guests are two of Speaker Services speakers who have been with us for a while. We'll be talking to Marni Spencer-Devlin, who's an author and a speaker, and later on we'll be introducing you to Jacqueline Robertson, also a speaker and an author, a two-time author. And we're so happy to be here today. We love being on the show. Thank you to all of you who are sending us the kudos and responses and saying that you love the show and you love the format and how can you get on the show. But we'll get to you. Let us know if you're interested. Write to Susan at speakerservices.com and let me know what your interest is. And by the way, we have some exciting news to share with you today, because we want to give you more opportunities, and Jean-Noel, my co-host here, loves to interview people. So let's tell them our exciting news, Jean-Noel.
Well, we're starting a show called The Book Beat on May 6th, right? I think it's Monday, May 6th. It'll be on...
Following this show, a half hour later. Thank you.
Thank you. Following this show, it'll be on at 6:30. And there'll be a half-hour break then on 6:30. And we are going to be interviewing authors, people who have written books. And because the world has kind of turned into a self-publishing kind of place, there are many, many people who have books. I like to say that in California, you usually have your real estate license, you are writing a screenplay, and you've written a book. So that covers about everybody. And so I'll be interviewing authors. My background is as a journalist doing celebrity interviews. And I do love to ask the questions. And so just this will all take place in the studio.
Yeah. And you'll be doing all the interviews, which you're excellent at. Tell people a little bit about your background, why you qualified to do this, and how you refound your passion.
Well, for many years, I interviewed celebrities for magazines like Woman's World, Red Book, McCall's, AARP, the magazine. And I did it because I had an urge to talk to the movers and shakers of the world. I wanted to talk to people who were doing extraordinary things. So I interviewed some interesting people. Some of my favorites were Celine Dion and Andy Rooney and Larry King, and went to the White House and did Tipper Gore. And so I kind of miss that. Things have changed a lot in the publishing world, but this is a great opportunity for me to kind of get my feet back into it again. And so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, great to have you as part of the team. This is a new venture for us. We've been doing Speaker Services since 1992. That makes us 21 years old. So we were out celebrating recently. Thank you.
We can drink now.
Having a drink here and there. I think we're allowed
21.
to. Over 21, right. And as Jean-Noel said earlier, our whole purpose is to share with you how you can use your expertise to grow your business and your income through speaking. And oftentimes people don't even know that they're experts. and they need to hear that message that they are. Today I was telling Marni, who's our guest, that the phone started ringing at 8:30 this morning. I was still in my pajamas, and I thought I had some time before my first appointment, and I got a call from Louisiana. And this lady said, I heard about you through so and so, and I want to be a speaker. I'm doing it locally for free. How do I do that? And an hour later, I was sharing all this information with her, and we call that a discovery session. I want to find out what people are needing from us, because we have all different kinds of packages that we offer them. And when I spoke to her, she didn't even realize that she was an expert. I said, "Aren't you the expert?" And she paused. And I had to explain to her how she was the expert and how you can take your expertise and turn it into profits. And what I always like to say, Jean-Noel, is that even though we're a paid listing service and people pay to get listed with us, and the meeting planners and the program chairs come to our website, and you might go out to speak locally for free, because we believe that speaking is the best way to market yourself. And by doing that, you'll attract clients. So where's the money? Why should I speak for free? Because it's what people want from you at the end, your expertise, and how you can turn that into profits. And that's what we share with you. And then again, if you're a book person, we have different packages as well. So what are some of the challenges that book people have?
Well, publishing is changing. And now the playing field has kind of been leveled. The gatekeepers are losing their power. It used to be that if you had a nonfiction book, you had to have a book proposal. And I saw a lot of good proposals, because I also, along with being a journalist, I was a coach, and I helped people write book proposals. And I saw many really fine book proposals not make it. They would come really close, and they would get these really positive rejection letters, which kind of make you feel like crap. But the letters would say something from the editor would say something like, "This came really close. I couldn't put it down." And then there'd be this phrase like, "not right for us at this time," something like that. And the reason for that was because a publishing house has to invest a lot of money.
Right.
If they're going to publish your book. But one of the reasons that people used to want to have a mainstream publisher was for distribution, because that was something you didn't have to worry about. And back in the dark ages, you would, go to a vanity press if you didn't want to go mainstream. And you would end up with 5,000 books that would usually be in your living room as furniture for the next 10 years, or in your garage. I mean, the whole scene was different. So the advantage to getting a mainstream publisher was that they would get it in all the bookstores across the country, if you remember bookstores. But things have changed, and bookstores are disappearing.
Right.
And the whole scene has kind of shifted to the internet. So now you promote your books through social media, you sell them through Amazon. So the good news is that the playing field has been leveled. The bad news sometimes is that some of the self-published books out there are not that great. But we want to take the best, and we want to interview people who really have good self-published books, or mainstream. We'll do both.
And
to talk about.
We'll take fiction.
Yes.
And will we take poetry? That was a question I asked you yesterday. We had a query about poetry.
It's good poetry.
Okay, so we need to look at that. I think here's what I found
very carefully.
What I discovered today, and this is something that you and I talk about all the time. I spoke to about 5 people today in a discovery session, seeing if we were a match for them, and a lot of them were not focused. So focus is the same thing whether you're speaking or whether you're writing a book, and people need to understand what you're saying. And what came out of it with another lady was she has a book, and she has retired recently, and she wants to go out to speak, but she has no idea how to market it. She doesn't know how to put her packages together. And that's one of the things that I told to her. I said, look, we can help you put your media package together, and we can show you how you can get on TV shows, how you can get on radio shows, how you could write press releases, where you put it on your website, and how you can get video, just like we're doing here. By doing an interview, you could have this as a credit. You could add it to your speaker reel. So we have all different kinds of packages that are available, and that's part of the marketing. And plus, we have so many resources.
And we think video is really important.
Yeah.
Right now, we think that on your website, on your homepage, if on your website you have a meeting planner page, which we can talk about at some point,
Yeah.
shouldn't people have a meeting planner page?
Oh,
Actually?
absolutely. We just finished with a couple clients. One in particular, a young woman who we've been helping with her website, and she speaks about international trade. And we might have mentioned this on an earlier show. It was very academic. So first of all, we had to help her to speak English so that people could understand that. And Jean-Noel says that she's an expert in that. We worked with a lot of clients like that. You
I'm
have
really
a Russian client that you talk about.
Well,
that
I'm really
translating.
good at trying to get academic people to speak, mainstream English.
Right.
It's a thing I have.
Right. And
because when you're in the academic world, you have a lot of time on your hands. And so you have time when you write your papers and your dissertations to have a beginning and a middle and an end, and your colleagues are actually going to read this. But when you come from the journalistic world like I do, we know we've got about 5 seconds to get your attention because anything can distract the reader. Someone brings in coffee and donuts, that's it. We lose you. So that's why we try. Just lost you. Our engineer is agreeing with that. He's looking for the coffee and donuts. But it's really important for academic people, I think, to speak mainstream English. And one of the reasons they don't, if you come from an academic background, and you feel like your colleagues are kind of looking over your shoulder, and that is holding you back from getting your expertise out into the world. Don't do that. Look at people like Deepak Chopra, Harvard schooled physician. He made this jump into the mainstream world, and he was criticized by a lot of colleagues, but he still did it, and now he's reaching millions of people. So consider that as worth doing.
And back to our client with the website, we focused her. We got her clear so that she could speak the same language because she's leaving the college and university world, and she absolutely wants to speak. She's got a fantastic topic that's great, and we're working with her website, and it's still not completely there because she had too much information on her website.
And she had to get the academic piece in, remember?
Right.
We looked at it last week.
And we took it out.
Yes, we did. Well, we put it at the bottom.
Yeah, right. We found a place for it. So it's very important for speakers. All these people that we work with are professional people, again, who are using speaking as a way to grow their practice. But if you don't tell us on your website, which is your business site, so to speak, and people look you up, that you're a speaker or that you're an author, nobody's going to know. And that's what we need to see. And then what do the meeting planners, the event coordinators need to know about you? Those are some of the things that go on the website, and people forget to put those in.
We want you to make your benefits clear on your website.
Yeah.
I want to go to a website
Right.
because I'm usually tired, I'm stressed out. If you're new, I'm going to check out your website maybe at the end of the day, or maybe I got somebody to call, or I'm stressed, and I want to go to your website. And in about 5 seconds, I want to see what's in it for me. What are the benefits?
Right, absolutely right. Hey, Jean-Noel, I want to tell you something that I may not have shared with you, and it's very exciting. About a year ago, a man called me up and he said, I'd like to interview you for a book that I'm doing. And the book is called Speaking on the Side, and his name is Jeff Green. And I did an interview with him over the phone and totally forgot about it. And a couple days ago, he sent me the draft of a chapter that he did on me. And this is what he said. He said he never had this chapter before, but after he spoke to me, he had to call it the secret wisdom, which I thought was really nice because I'm a marketing person. I love marketing, I love research, and I love finding gigs for people and talking to people how they can monetize their business, as you've been hearing us speak. But I want to read this to you because it was very sweet. And the book he's self-publishing, by the way, because we talked about that, and it will be out sometime in May, and we'll probably have him on the show through Skype. So he said, originally this chapter did not exist, and then I spoke with Susan Levin, founder of Speaker Services, and I knew I had to put in the extra time to write it. The premise of this chapter, everything I have told you about getting paid to speak has been completely wrong. He said, intrigued? I certainly was. To understand, you first have to hear Susan's story, which I thought was extremely flattering and wonderful. And I'm excited, that I'm going to be in a book. People always tell me to write a book, but I have tons of information on my blog and through our speakers community MP3s. And that's where I go to find the information, when I'm putting something together, all of it's there.
And it's so cool when someone else writes about you, isn't it?
Right, especially when I don't have to write it.
Right, exactly.
So that really helps. So thank you, Jeff Green. We're looking forward to the book coming out soon. I think we're coming up on a break right now. And
we've got a couple minutes here, I think.
I hear some music.
Really? Okay.
Starting up, and I see Nez saying yes.
Okay,
so
engineer's boss here.
Tell us what's going to happen when we come back from the break.
Oh, well, we are going to have Marni Spencer-Devlin with us in the studio. And stick around because she is a best-selling author. And she's got a new book coming out called The Iceberg Principles. Yeah. Her book right now is called Crawling into the Light. And she has overcome so many hardships, just unbelievable to get to where she is today.
And she looks really beautiful. Wait till you see her on camera.
Right.
Thank you, Marni, for coming here. So you've been listening to LA Talk Live, where we're more than just radio. And this is Susan Levin and Jean-Noel. You're listening to Talk Up Your Biz, Speak Your Way to More Profits. And we'll be back with you in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
I'm taking a stand and making a difference. Ready to change the world that I see. 'Cause I have a dream. True love is evergreen. I know it's not too late. Gonna grow some love today. Planting a seed to build a world closer.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Today is my day, a brand new beginning.
Hi, you're listening to LA Talk Live, where we're more than just radio and we're reality TV. And this is Susan Levin and Jean-Noel Bassior talking to you about talking up your biz, speak your way to more profits. And we have our guest with us right now, Marni Spencer-Devlin, and Jean-Noel is going to introduce her, and we're going to find out all about her. She's one of our speakers and authors.
Well, Marni, when I saw your bio, the thing that, of course, struck me the most was you went from being homeless to having a multi-million-dollar company, right? Is that correct?
That's certainly true.
How did this happen? How did you end up homeless?
There was a big beginning story to that, kind of a difficult childhood. I was molestation, I was raped. And the really crazy thing is to try and escape that, I married a man that I thought would take me away from all that. He turned out to be so obsessed with controlling me that he got me addicted to heroin intentionally.
Oh, my God.
By the time I got away from that, I did escape. I did get away from it. But by the time I got away from it, I was a junkie. And I had to do the things that junkies have to do to support their life. And I became a criminal and became a prostitute. And I was simply not able to do that anymore. I chose to become homeless. It really was a choice in a way because I simply couldn't do it anymore. But when I finally I really hit bottom when I became homeless. It's a very hard thing.
But it was the best choice at the time, right? Because it got you out of being a working girl for.
Yes, it did. It did that. It also really made me hit bottom. And I finally got to the point where I said, I deserve better than this. And I think that really became my turning point for me. And I turned myself into the authorities, hoping for a little slap on the wrist. Nothing doing. I was sentenced to 2 years prison, and I did time in prison. And when I got out, though, I really was already a changed person. And I think it all started with that hitting bottom when I said, I deserve better than this. And so when I got out, I got a job in marketing and loved what I was doing. A few years later, I started my own company, and I did turn that into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. I had 70 employees.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think when you get to a place like that, you have a choice, and we see this happening with a lot of people. Your choice is, am I going to stay here or am I going to leave? And right now we're seeing a lot of people leaving. So congratulations to you, and this is an inspiration for other people to hear that if they're in the same place that you were in, that they too can rise from the ashes.
They can. However, it turned out that was not the end of my story.
Well, go ahead.
Because it turns out as the more successful I became, that's that little girl, that abused woman that was still inside of me. And it seemed like the more money I was making, the greater that chasm inside of me grew. And I was a multimillionaire and I had to be on antidepressants to help me cope with my existence.
Oh, my gosh.
What kind of business did you start?
Marketing. It was a direct mail advertising company. Was very successful. I loved what I was doing, but I somehow didn't feel like I was deserving of all that success. I was deserving of all that money.
Right.
Can you get that?
I totally get it.
And so it built up all this stress inside of me, and eventually I got sick.
That's what happens.
That's what happened. I ended up sick, and
the stress comes out, and it makes you sick. And we do it to ourselves.
And eventually I was given a year to live.
You're kidding.
Yes. 2008, I was given a year to live. And I couldn't work anymore. I lost my company. In fact, my business partner took it away from me. But it was really the best thing that's ever happened to me.
How so?
In terms, I find that it's always that the hardest things always can turn into the biggest blessings if you allow them, if you let them. And so I decided I wanted to write my story. It was supposed to be my legacy, the thing that I leave behind. And that's what turned into my first book, Crawling into the Light.
Do we have the book?
Yeah,
we have the book.
It's an unusual title, Crawling into the Light.
Because I crawled. I really crawled. It was a long time coming before I went into the light. In fact, when I started the book, I thought I was crawling. I really thought it was going to be the end. And I had a beautiful mansion overlooking the ocean. I sold everything I owned. I did one of those estate sales. And in fact, what was left fit into 2 suitcases.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm originally from Germany. I went home and...
you thought you were going to die?
I really kind of went to make my peace, yes. And it was very difficult. It was difficult reconnecting with my family. It was just a difficult time. Plus, I thought it was the end. I mean, it's a big deal. And then a friend via email asked me the question, so what do you think God is? Not who do you think God is, but what is God? I found that interesting. And I started writing, composing my reply to her. And all of a sudden, it was just pouring out of me. Things were pouring out of me that were more than I knew. And out of that ended up the thing that I call the iceberg principles. And they are at the end of my book, Crawling into the Light. There were 19 of them at the time. Now I've spent the last year writing the book, and that's the new book that you were referring to that's coming out called The Iceberg Principles.
Now, was this part of your healing process? What happened with the diagnosis? What happened with?
When I discovered that, I discovered the reason I was born. I really discovered my destiny. And all of a sudden, this new enthusiasm came alive in me. And I started getting healthier. And I started just, when you find the thing that you're here for, it just gave me a whole new outlook. And suddenly I just knew, even though that nothing had changed as far as the diagnosis was concerned, I knew that I was not at the end of my life.
You're not ready to leave the planet.
I wasn't ready to leave the planet. I knew I had just really begun.
And you call yourself the destiny coach.
I am the destiny coach because I realized that is my purpose. I discovered that knowing why I'm here, what it did for my life, that's my purpose, to help other people with theirs. And that is my
So
destiny.
you help them find out why they're here.
I help people find out why they're here, what they're here to do, and align themselves with who they are. Because that's the thing, when you align yourself with who you are and you get rid of all the static and you can really hear who you are, it's just like opening the floodgates. Everything changes, and that's when your health also returns.
What are some of these principles? Give us some tips.
They're difficult to describe. The book is not an easy read. Let me warn readers right away. It connects spirituality with science in
Quantum
a way.
physics?
Quantum physics.
We like that.
Absolutely.
We understand.
And it describes that the universe really is love. But not the candy and sweet syrupy Hallmark kind of love, but love, the most powerful force there is. And it describes it, and it really describes so many things. Primarily what it really talks about, the reason it's called Iceberg Principles, talks about the cosmic ratio. And you can see it when you look up at the night sky. You see mostly black and you see a little bit of stars. And theoretical physicists say that you see about 96% black and about 4% matter, stars. It's about the ratio of an iceberg. And I say that human beings are the same thing. The part that shows about us, what's sitting in your chair right now, is only about 4% of who you are. And it describes who you are, but it doesn't define you. What defines you is, in fact, invisible.
The non-physical part of us.
The
right?
non-physical part of you, which is your gifts and your talents and all the things that your loves, your likes, your characteristics, even your sense of humor, all those things are not visible, but they are what defines you. And that is what people must find. We must find what they love. They must follow their heart, really, is what it boils down to.
What they're passionate about. And that's exactly what came to you in that moment when you almost left, and then the door opened, or you listened and you heard, and it was channeled to you.
Absolutely. I could not have put it better myself. That's exactly what it feels like.
And because you said as you were writing it, it just started pouring out.
Yes.
And that's when Spirit started speaking through you and you started to listen.
Absolutely. Because it was stuff that I wouldn't have even known.
Right.
Scientific stuff I didn't know. That later on I researched and I realized, and I was like, oh my God, the stuff that I wrote was actually true, was real scientific stuff.
Yeah.
Colored me surprised.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, I enjoy that very much. I know sometimes when I start speaking and counseling somebody, there's stuff that comes out of my mouth that I can't even believe that I know it. But I know that it comes from Spirit, and I know that we have to listen, and that's the most important thing, is to listen, because a lot of people just throw it away, say, oh, no, well, that's not right, or nobody's not going to listen to what I say. So it's pretty remarkable, and we're so thrilled that you're here with us. And what kind of groups do you speak to? Who wants to hear your message?
Well, just next week I have a talk that came to me from Speaker Services, and this is going to be to underprivileged women that were very much like I was at one point or other, that are struggling. I think there may actually be some homeless women in there as well, that this is in a shelter situation. So I'm very happy to help these women and let them see I was where you are, and there is another way to do that. Mostly I speak to business women. I speak to women who are where I was, that are in the business world and that are just not finding, they have everything, but they're not happy. They're
not fulfilled.
They're not fulfilled, and they can't figure out
why it is. They don't know their joy.
They don't know any joy. Exactly. Maybe their health is suffering. Maybe they're eating too much. Maybe they're drinking a little bit too much. Like all these, and they just can't be happy. And there is a way to be happy when you just get rid of all that stuff, because it really is just like opening the floodgates.
Please tell our listeners how they can come to your website or contact you if they need the Destiny Coach.
Well, thank you so much. My websites are my name, which is Marni, Spencer-Devlin.com. It's MarniSpencerDevlin. MarniSpencer-Devlin.com. And then my latest one is icebergprinciples.com or theicebergprinciples.com. Check it out. Figure it out. It's a pretty interesting, it connects you with yourself, and that's a worthwhile place to be.
So if somebody wants to connect with you and work with you privately, do you do that?
Absolutely. I am working as a speaker and as a writer, but mostly I work as a mentor, and I give private classes either via Skype, or I also have clients that come to my home. And yes, and that's help them find themselves, help them find their destiny.
Yeah.
So how did you take the first steps to get out there and start speaking? Because as you say, it's kind of a complex topic in a way, right?
Boy, is it ever.
Yeah, and you said it wasn't simple language. So how did you start to get out there and speak?
Well, I contacted Speaker Services. Interestingly, you should ask. And oh my God, am I glad I did.
It was a trick question.
It was a trick question. And I'm so glad you asked, because as you said earlier, it's so important to become targeted. Yeah. I came to Susan and was like, "Hi, I'm ready to speak now." And oh my God, thankfully Susan targeted me. And
not the first time though. We went back and forth several times.
I'm a tough learner. I think I put you through hell, didn't
I? But look now, and you came to us through the Publicity Summit. That's where you had been, I believe, and you heard. And I think maybe I got recommended that way, or you heard about us.
It's very, very possible.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, yes, of course you would. You've been doing this so long. Susan is an absolute fabulous coach to have, and to teach the ins and outs, because there's so much to know about speaking. It's not just about going there. You have to know what you're saying. You have to know who you're saying it to. Susan helps you with figuring out how to find your audiences, which is just as important. It's a whole science. And then once you're out there, once you're empowered to do it, then it's wonderful. And then it's a wonderful way to connect with the audiences and get the messages out there. Because what good would it do me to have all this wonderful thing and sit at home? I need to talk to people. I need to get the message out.
So what would be your best tip? Because I know it's complicated, but for people that are hearing this now, let's say somebody is on the edge of depression, or they're kind of really feeling close to that place that you were in. And is there anything you can give them right now, a place to start that would give some help?
Absolutely. First of all, realize that if you are depressed, that means you are suppressing your natural talents. And start listening to yourself. Don't automatically discount yourself. Mm-hmm. Just start little. Start with, what are my talents? And many people I talk to go, I don't have any talents. There's talents that have been suppressed for so long they don't even know they have any anymore. So let's go with the things that you love. Look for the little things that bring you joy.
Yes.
And you start listening to that intuition just a little bit. It starts growing and building on that. And that's how we start. We start with the little things.
Really, really small, right? Because a lot of people will say, like, I'm stressed, you don't understand, I got to pay the rent, don't have time. So what do you say?
Well, we're stressed because things aren't going our way. And there's a million ways to be stressed every day, little tiny ways. But those are little stresses, and they don't bowl you over. In fact, they may even charge you up a little bit. They might be a good thing. It's the kind of stress that makes you depressed. That means that you are not aligned with who you really are. You have to recognize that you're here on this earth for a reason. You're not just an accident. You have gifts and talents, and they're not accidental. They're the tools you're supposed to use to contribute to this planet, to make the impact. And once you find that, oh my God, it's such a charge, and that if depression leaves you, it's not about solving depression. You do what you're here to do, and depression is out the window.
So
I totally believe that we are here to serve.
Absolutely.
And it takes some people longer than others to find out what they're here to do, what their service is. And you are such a beautiful example of somebody, who had so many obstacles in your path, and you came through this. Came through beautifully. Rising from the ashes. I mean, amazing story. and that you could write about it too and share this with other people is a beautiful thing.
I really feel it was my destiny.
And that's why you're the destiny coach.
That's how it came to be. I mean, how
That's
did I
great
learn to
branding.
be a writer? Yes, it's true. How did I become to be a writer? I didn't know how to do any of that. It just came. And believe me, I knew how to be depressed. When you're homeless, you know how to be depressed.
Got that
and
down.
I am obviously not anymore today.
What's the scariest thing that ever happened to you, real quick? I know we're going into a break, but when you were homeless.
Just being homeless is just, the depression, I think, was the horror. There of course, there are horrible things that did happen, and they are all in my book. Read them, and when you read it, remember, she survives in the end.
Right, and if you
It's
have
not always clear.
If you have an opportunity for Marni to speak for your organization, go to her website or to speakerservices.com and give her a call. See what else she has to speak about, because she will speak for your group and share her light with you.
And she will
And your
definitely
audience.
inspire you.
And inspire you as
She
well.
has us.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And thanks so much for having me on the show.
So stick around, because don't go anywhere. We have got Jacqueline Robertson in the studio as well, and she has overcome a tremendous amount of obstacles, just like Marni here. I mean, Jacqueline lost both her parents at the age of 17, and she had a son who was seriously injured by a gunshot, and she just has been through, she's overcome hearing impairment. She's just had a whole list of things that she's had to overcome as well. But she has come up with the 80-20 principle, where you put 20% effort in and you get 80% or more results. And I just need to hear what this is.
And this is her second book that she's written.
Okay, this is
Yeah.
her second book. Well,
Yeah.
we can't wait to hear about both of the books. So stay tuned. This is latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk.
Our beauty will show. I'm taking a stand and making a difference. Ready to change the world that I see.
Do you suffer from degenerative diseases such as high blood pressure, diabetes, fibroid tumors, high cholesterol, genital herpes, or a plethora of other diseases that rob you of a quality life? If so, then visit the website of herbalist Tahuti Ma'atra at dhealthstore.com and open the door to natural healing at an affordable price. dhealthstore.com has over 1,800 products created by herbalist Tahuti Ma'atra, specifically designed to help you heal the natural and safe way. At dhealthstore.com, you'll find everything from herbal formulas and cleanses, such as Tahuti's famous full body detox, as well as herbal teas, extracts, natural body butters, lotions, creams, children's products, hair care products, and of course, sexual enhancement products for both men and women. So visit the website of Tahuti Ma'atra, dhealthstore.com, or call toll free at 1-888-823-9416, dhealthstore.com.
Hi, this is Starla Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Today is my day, a brand new beginning. The future will blossom magnificent.
Welcome back to Talk Up Your Biz, Speak Your Way to More Profits. I'm Jean-Noel Bassior, and Susan Levin is my co-host.
Hello.
And the music that you are hearing is by Lena Marquez, and she has written this song called The Seed, and she's performing it as well. And and she is a very talented musician who writes music like this if you need it. So
For a
she will-
signature song when
Yeah.
you're out to speak,
Right.
or whatever. This is a beautiful song. When she heard that we were doing this show, she said, "I have the perfect song for you for Talk Up Your Biz, The Seed." So listen to the words; it's really beautiful. And we'll have Lena on the show later on in May, and you'll get to meet her. She's quite remarkable. But now we have Jacqueline Robertson with us. Just got here in a nick of time, thank goodness. Traffic out here in LA. And Jean-Noel, let's
Well,
see
hold
what
up your book,
Jacqueline has to say.
And it's called Dream It First. And Jacqueline has discovered a very interesting principle called the 80-20 principle, right?
Yes.
And I was fascinated when I heard about this because
Closer.
Jacqueline says that if you put in 20% of the effort, that you can get 80% or even more back in terms of results, right? Because I often feel, Jacqueline, like I'm putting in 500% of the effort and I'm getting about 10% back. So what am I missing here? What's the secret?
Well, that's interesting because most people feel the same way. But if you can isolate and identify, like I show in the book, you actually see that the larger your results in life are really flown from less of your efforts.
Really? Now, how does that work? I'm not tapping that.
Well, with little effort, you get more results. For example, if you're exercising, if you're doing a whole bunch of exercises, they're not really helping you. So it's just a small fraction of those exercises are really giving you the results. So if you can isolate and identify what those exercises are and then put your emphasis on that, you'll get more over a shorter interval of time using more of your resources.
So kind of work smarter, kind of, or
Yes, definitely, and it's applicable to every area of life.
Now, how'd you come to this? Because you've had like all this stuff happen to you, right? I mean, what's your story? You've just had amazing stuff to overcome, right?
Well, basically, I think the 80-20 theory came to me as a result of living. I have a very background, and actually, I have a very background in every area of my life. In every area of my life, once I start to isolate and identify, I seen that really the larger results in my life have really flown from the smaller my efforts. Then I recalled in business the 80-20 principle, which basically says the same thing. So it took me 4 years to write and complete this book. And it's written from several schools of thought. But basically, it has the same philosophy that approximately 80% or more of your results in life over time has really flown from approximately 20% or either less of your efforts. And of course, if you can identify what those little areas are and put your weight on that and off of all the other things, you'll be able to celebrate your dreams and objective at a shorter interval of time.
Well, can you give us some examples like...
Okay.
Yeah.
For example, 80% of the clothes in your closet are really only getting 20% of the wear.
That's true.
Okay. Once you identify that, and you can identify those clothes that are getting 20% of the wear, you can do a lot of things. You can keep wearing those clothes, you can stop buying clothes, or you can start wearing the other clothes you have.
Or throw out the other ones.
Yeah, you get more over time with less. Most ladies say, I have nothing to wear.
Right.
What they mean is I don't have anything new to wear. They have plenty of clothes. So if you're trying to budget, you don't have to go out and buy more clothes. You can just use what you have, and you'll get the same results, or even more, really, because you're using less to accomplish more.
I like to shop in my closet.
Okay.
And I enjoy that. And I may have something that I haven't worn in 5 or 6 years, and then I'll get a new top or a new bottom, and I'll say, oh, this works with it, or a sweater, and then I have a new outfit.
That's right.
So I don't throw that much out because I repurpose my clothes unless I outgrow them. But now I'm getting thinner.
Okay.
So I think I can get rid of my fat clothes and get some new things.
It's
Actually, I was thinking of going shopping after this.
Well, Kohl's is close.
I love shopping, and there's a Kohl's right nearby.
So
how
can we apply this, though, to... Sorry, I didn't mean to...
I wanted to just ask one question. How did you get to call yourself the Dream Sister?
Well, I guess a few years ago, I think in 2004, when I had just started to speak, and I would meet with Jack, and we were trying to come up,
Jack is part of our team, by
Jack
the way.
Barnard.
and we were coming up with
So it was
doing my branding,
Right.
and he said, "Well, what do you want to call yourself?" And so he threw out some stuff, and then I came back the next week, and I said, "I'm the Dream Sister."
I forgot that you were working with Jack because it's been a while. You've been with us a long time.
Yes,
We
yes, I
appreciate
have.
you. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I'm a sister, and I love the
That's
dream.
great.
Everything that I
Dream
created
sister.
started with a dream. So basically, that's who I am. I'm the Dream Sister.
That's a
That's
great
good
tag,
branding.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shows, the importance of getting a brand or a description that you really feel good about, that really fits you. And
Definitely.
yeah, that's a really good one. So getting back to the 80-20 principle, tell me a little bit more about it, because I would like to work smarter, but I get pretty stupid at my desk. I really do.
Well,
Your
basically,
desk
if you-
brings her down.
It does.
if one can understand the philosophy as well as the pathology behind the philosophy, they can then apply this law in every aspect of their life. So the first part of the book, I take some time, maybe the first 40 pages, and I introduce the 80-20 law. And I get you on board where you understand and see this law and start to see it in every area of your life. And then in your everyday life, you'll start seeing it.
Yeah, well, just what you said about the clothes in my closet.
you'll
so
have
that's an easy, I can
awareness.
see that.
Practical
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're kind of shifting your consciousness and having more of awareness. If I can share with you the background of the story
Yeah,
and how
go
it
ahead.
came into effect, then it may share
Yeah.
how it's really applicable to every area of life.
Tell us.
Approximately 100 years ago, in the late 1900s, I would say, a gentleman by the name of Alfredo Pareto first discovered this law. And what he discovered was that the majority of the wealth in the land in England and Italy, as well as other parts of the world, was really owned by only 20% of the population. And now this was a phenomenal discovery, but because people couldn't do anything with it, it just sat dormant. It didn't go anywhere. And what he further isolated and identified was that there is and has and always will be a large and uneven disparity between the input in obtaining wealth and the outcome.
Big gap.
Yes. And that with little effort, not equal to the outcome, you can obtain wealth, prosperity. And basically, he was explaining it mathematical because he was an economist. And then about 50 years later, another gentleman by the name of Joseph Duran, he rediscovered this law as a business theory. And you probably heard that 80% or more of the work in your business is done by 20% of the people. And that only approximately 20% of what you're doing in your business activity is giving you an 80% return. Okay. Well, I've taken it a step farther and redefined it not as a social economic law, not as a business law, but as a natural phenomena, a spiritual occurrence that's applicable to every single area of your life. If you can use the 5 steps in my book, you'll see that your results in life have really flown from less of your efforts.
So you got a 5-step formula here,
Yes,
right, in the
basically.
book. So can you give us maybe a hint, like 1 or 2 of the steps? Or
Well, I'll give you all 5.
oh, good.
You know.
I didn't want to ask, but
No, it's okay.
so,
That's very generous.
yeah.
Basically, you have to say what it is that you want or what you've wanted in the past. And then you have to identify the method that you're going to use or the method that you used in the past. And then you're going to observe the method. Then you're going to allow adequate time, and then you're going to evaluate the results.
So now when you say observe the method, how do I do that? What does that mean?
Okay, for example, say you're looking for a husband or a soulmate
Wait, did you use this
in the book.
in
yes.
finding your husband? Okay.
Oh, yes,
This
I
is a real
definitely did.
story.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know it works.
Okay, it does work. Yeah.
She's attracted a very attractive
Yeah, because
husband.
he's over there in the studio. So
So, say you're looking for a significant other, You have to say what you want. Okay, so that's the first step.
So I got to really clearly define it, right?
Yeah, you're gonna say what you want.
Okay.
So in the book, a lady by the name of Mary, she identified what she wants. She made a list of all the attributes that she wanted in a man. Okay, say what you want. Then you're gonna decide the method you're gonna use. So in her case, she had been dating a guy off and on. She wasn't really serious about him, but she said, I'm gonna use him as the method. And then the third step is to observe the method. So she observed the guy. Then you allow adequate time. In her case, she decided to go another 3 months or so. And then you evaluate the results. The smaller of your results are really the key 20% that's giving you 80% or more what you want using less of your resources and efforts. Out of all the attributes that he had, she found that he only lacked 2. Those 2 that he didn't have was allowing her to 80% of what she did want.
Now let's see. I'm a little bit confused. Say that again.
Okay.
Now, so he was most of what she wanted.
She
Lacking 2
listed
things.
all these things. She wanted a person that's warm and generous and financially independent, and she had all these things. Out of all the things on the list, he lacked 2. And these are traits that she just felt she had to have in a man. But really, those 2 things that he didn't have was allowing her to have 80% or more what she wanted in the other area.
So she didn't get stuck on those 2 things.
No, she
let those
more,
go, right?
They weren't deal breakers.
I see.
Yeah,
And then she got the 80%.
Because there's no 100% in anything.
I see. So that's how she got the 80% by letting that 20% go, right?
That's right.
So this is this principle now it's becoming clearer. You use this in business also because you speak to different business groups, and I know you've been out doing quite a bit of speaking, and people really love what you have to say, and so when you do speak to them, do you have a way to keep them accountable, or can you check back with them to see if they've learned something, or do you work with them privately after they buy the book, or how could people
Well, I have a web page, and people can go on there. Also, right now I'm kind of leaving it open where, people can email me and give me feedback because the book is relatively new. It's only been out it's just published last year.
But you coach people, right?
Yeah, and I'm open for coaching, and I speak. So
tell us how they can find you on your website. And
my website address is Dream It First.
Dream It First.
At msn.com.
At msm.com.
Now, is this, a lot of people might say, this is kind of visualization, but it's more than that, right? I mean, you start by visualizing, and that's step 1. Get it really clear that way.
Well, basically, after I get everybody on the bus and they understand what this 80-20 law is, then they can start to apply this theory or this principle in manifesting their dreams and goals in their life. So in my book, the first chapter is seek first the kingdom before everything else is added to you. And that's a universal law.
I was going to ask you about the universal law, and that's exactly what it is.
It's definitely a universal law. And when you can identify what that kingdom is, then you'll see how it is applicable. That kingdom is you.
Yeah, the kingdom
your
is
own
within.
mind. And in that place is where your dreams are enlightened to you. Okay.
So this is kind of like our last guest, Marni, was saying. This is kind of like getting in touch with yourself, right?
Well, basically, when you're using universal law, you may use different words, but you're basically saying the same thing. I use the term seek first the kingdom because it's biblical based. Okay, and people can kind of relate to that. And even if you're not biblical based, when seek first the kingdom, and you know that the kingdom is your own mind first, and then everything else will be added to you, then you can say, hey, it makes sense.
So kind of the larger part of yourself, or maybe even more than your mind, or the spiritual part, or
when you seek first yourself, you're seeking your mind, and when you're seeking your mind, you're seeking yourself, and when you're seeking God, you're seeking the kingdom. But wherever, it has to start there. Before everything else is
so it kind of expands.
And once you seek that, you will be able to have illumination of what your dream is, just like Marty was sharing. And then after the dream has been illuminated to you, you have to accept it.
And then you make your plan, sort of. Then
you accept that dream. You accept it. I can do that. And then you build up a faith and a belief in that dream mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and then the dry land appears. And you're going to be making the plan, but basically what you're doing, you're building up a faith and a belief. And that has to do with the law of creation, which is another chapter in my book. And it shows you step by step how all dreams are manifested, regardless of the terminology you use. Everybody uses the same step. They have enlightenment of a dream, and over time they build up a faith and a belief in it mentally, spiritually, and emotionally prior to the dry land appearing. So I share with them these steps and help them identify and see these steps so they can start easily manifesting their dreams and goals in their lives using less of their resources and efforts. And the 80-20 law is streamed throughout the book. It's taken me 4 years to write this book because it's written from several schools of thought. I have a varied background: medical, mental health, real estate, paralegal, working with developmentally disabled. I've ran a board and care facility for the developmentally disabled, women's fitness. And this law is applicable in every single area. So it's not something that I'm just postulating. It's something that I have experienced and I have seen. And when people can see that they have a lot of power already within themselves and they start pulling it out, I mean,
it's giving them permission. And today I was talking, I mentioned earlier that I had many calls and people needed counseling or discovery. And after we finished speaking, they said to me, "You've really inspired me. You helped me, you showed me step by step how to do exactly what I want to do when I couldn't figure it out at all myself."
Definitely.
So we're all here to serve in different ways, and we're all here to find our tribes or our tribes to find us, and to listen to what we are told to do, because we're here. That's what our service is.
Definitely.
That's where we came. I didn't find my real passion or my service until I started Speaker Services 21 years ago, even though I've been an entrepreneur since 1970 and did lots of businesses. And I sometimes tell the story, I've had every business I've had was 7 years. And I know that's a very spiritual number. Well, when 7 years came, with Speaker Services, and this was a vision business, by the way, because I got the voice that told me when I was sitting on the bed, and I screamed and I said, I got the idea, and I called Jean-Noel and we started talking about it. And it wasn't about speakers at Best Buy or Radio Shack. We figured out, what was missing and what people needed. And this has been such a calling. So the 7 years came and went, and I said to her, well, what are we going to do now? And Spirit just kept saying, you keep going. You're serving people. You're helping people. And it's a win-win. And I wish this for everybody, that they can find their passion and their purpose and just keep doing the work that we're intended to do. Not have to go to a job every day where they are, working for the man and having no balance in their life and just working, to make pay for the bills.
Definitely.
There is another way.
Definitely.
And tap into Jacqueline's book, tap into Marni's book. This ask them to coach you if you need it. There's so much sharing and information out there for you. And if you're ready to jump into the world and share your information with people, let us know. Get a hold of me at speakerservices.com, Susan at speakerservices.com. Got a question? Ask me. We'll be happy to share it with you. You've got a question about book publishing and marketing, Jean-Noel can answer it. What's your email address, Jean-Noel?
You can contact me at Jean-Noel, that's Jeannoel, at earthlink.net. So, well, we've had two fabulous guests today. I mean, about destiny and about getting in touch with a larger part of yourself that may be non-physical and kind of creating cool things physically from that. So this is interesting.
We want to thank our guests,
Yeah.
Marni, Spencer-Devlin, and Jacqueline Robertson, for coming in today and spending time with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're so welcome. And next week we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to be talking to Trent Blanchard and Deborah Kagan. She's the Mojo-licious lady, and she has a lot to share as well as Trent. Thank you for listening tonight. We appreciate all of you who are listening live or on your radio or watching us on the internet or listening to us thereafter. It's a pleasure to be here. And you've been listening to LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk. This is Susan Levin and Jean-Noel Bassior talking to you about talking up your business. And this is a production of Speaker Services. So we'll say goodnight for now. And Lena Marquez is taking us out with the seed. She's inspiring us through her music. Good night, everybody.
And making a difference. Ready to change the world that I see. 'Cause I have a dream. True love is evergreen. I know it's not too late. Gonna grow some love today. Planting a seed to build a world closer to heaven. Planting a seed in my soul. Yeah, I'm watching it grow.
You are now tuned into LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.